Quan S. Peace. Peace, peace, peace. You have Under the Veil on there on your phone? Quan S. You seen 16 on here? I don't think 16 is on here yet. I'm not sure. I'll put it in. I need to know what's good. Quan S, how you feel? You got it on?
Can you play?
Yeah, you can play it. We're gonna wait for this thing to populate for a minute. As y'all can see, I'm in the car.
My arm is in your video.
Your arm is in the video? You want to spit some verbs?
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay, just want to make sure.
Not today. Next time. Next time. I'm going to share my metaphor.
We're gonna wait for this thing to populate.
Under the veil is tales, lies, and secrets. Into the heart and pales die just seeking.
Coming on kind of late simply because we just walked out of this event. Where's the flyer? We just walked out of this event. We didn't even get out of the parking lot yet. So we're gonna do a small little talk. It's not gonna be long because we're just gonna wait for the cars to get out of the parking lot. This talk is not gonna be long. We're just gonna do a basic review. A basic review of what we just experienced.
Elder Malidoma. Elder Malidoma.
No, a basic review of what we just experienced.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just leaving a lecture. Yeah, it was very interesting. So we're going to talk about that in 1 second. We're going to wait for this thing to populate. All right.
When your identity lies in all that you don't reveal. Third eye blind, eyes to contact, so you can open and load this up like a compact. Become an offering, something more to give than the physical body that can't forever live. Rooted in cash, but what a right soul. Open the knowledge that makes you have gone. Then let it transmute, metamorphosize. The awakening right before your eyes. The deception, the real magic. For you to miss all this glory, it would be tragic. So get you tearing the feeling that it was fabric. And find yourself on the path or in the labyrinth.
At least everyone is coming on. We appreciate that. Janice Meets Bryce. Peace. What's good? What's that? Page 16. What's good with you? You alright? Alright. I'm about to put on the Malcolm X joint. It's all I have in the car. Johnny Taylor, what's good with you, man? Algernon, Tony Floyd. Peace, Professor Griff, and Queen Soleil. She must see your arm. That's 16. Act 2217, what's good? John Taylor said peace. You want to help me with this? I'm just going to go over my notes. You want to add in?
Are you going to make me be on?
Yep, I'm not going to make you be on it. You can be on it. Alright, it's populated enough. We're not going to be on it long, so we want to thank everybody for being on. I know we're a little bit late. Well, I'm a little bit late, but we want to thank everyone. We're not going to be long because we're sitting in the car in the rain in the parking lot. All right, so now we just left this lecture. Spiritual Healing and Wisdom of African Elder Malidoma Patrice Some, PhD and author, Healing Wisdom of Africa.
They have his books listed there, the titles of his.
Where's it?
I don't know if they're listed on there.
Oh, no, they're not listed on here, no. But anyway, I think it's 3 books that he has out.
I can pull it up.
Yeah, can you pull it up? He had 3 books that he has out, and basically he just gave a basic talk tonight, mainly about the ancestors and mainly about the medicine that lies within you, that was deposited into you by the Creator, and you becoming in contact with that particular medicine so that you can share that medicine with a very, very, very sick, did he say world, or was he talking about this particular society?
The world in general, but specifically this society that we've been born into in the West.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So, Elder Malidoma Patrice Some. All right. Okay. So, I'm just going to go over my notes. You can kind of chime in when you want to. And this is strictly writing some notes down as the brother was speaking, trying to, I guess, just writing down some of the things that readily connected with me that I felt I wanted to share. All right. So first of all, there was this lady sitting next to me called Soleil, who was in my left ear a couple of times. And she talked about, I had notes written already, but when she said what she said, I had to write it down at the top of my notes so I wouldn't forget it. And you talked about empty presence. What does that mean?
Well, he didn't use the term empty presence specifically. I use that term empty presence, but he was talking about, I use it in, it's a term that I learned from one of my teachers, but learning how to drop out of our thinking minds and dropping into our heart, and as women into our womb space, but into the heart space, into our intuition, into our knowing, the real knowing on the inside of us. So when I talk about it, I'm talking about dropping into that gnosis on the inside, that real true inner knowing. And he was referring to that, saying that that's where the true answers lie. That's how our ancestors speak to us. That's how spirit speaks to us, not in our rational thinking mind. Right.
So he introduced the whole talk by playing the drum to call on the spirit of the ancestors. And do you remember that phrase that we were singing?
The song, I don't remember it.
But basically using that song as a way to shake up and quicken those bones, he said, so this we can invite the spirit in to quicken those bones, so we could begin to move, to become to get in contact with the medicine that we have to share with the world. And just to let you know, 16, when you wasn't on yesterday, Quan S stepped up and did the damn thing for real. She made it happen. Thank you, Quan. But anyway, the spirits hear the sound of the drum. So we talked about the spirits hearing the sound of the drum, and we're using that vibrational pitch to call the ancestors. There was one phrase, it wasn't the traditional normal calling on the ancestors. We used one phrase to intensify the pattern of the drum, to intensify the quickening of the bones and the spirit of the people in the room. Some stood up, some wanted to dance. Some people felt embarrassed, they didn't want to. Some people clapped, some people chanted along, but nonetheless, it was designed to quicken the spirit, to move those bones for us to move. But he said that we're vessels of the ancestors' wisdom. Vessels of the ancestors' wisdom. And this is not something that you have to quote unquote believe in. It's something that just is. Now you could become
signal is bad.
Yeah. 16. Let me know when we back on. All right, cool. All right, so we could be bothered and agitated by the whole idea that he's not using the traditional lecture kind of terminology, or even preachy or churchy or religious kind of terminology. This is not something that you have to come listen to and believe in. All right, just if you resonate with it, you resonate with it. He even said that he just really doesn't know what he's going to say We just have to be present. And as Soleil said, it's called that empty presence, but you have to be present. You have to be present and allow yourself to be used as that vessel. The ancestors are interested in our affairs. Spirit come into this particular body and makes us move. We just talked about that. He talked about the bones being the antennas. Your bones being the antennas. Now, I have to be honest. That's my first time hearing that.
That was my first time hearing that.
Okay. I've heard melanated centers being your antennas. I heard that in conjunction with intuition, the spirit, but I've never heard your bones being the antennas. He says the ancestors are broadcasting, calling us for what we need. So we're talking about how we respond to what the ancestors was coming through the ancestors to us to do. A lot of times we put that in different categories. You have to have faith to do it. We have to go through this religious thing to do it. If the book that we worship, we use to worship the Creator doesn't say it, then we're not doing that. Someone says the bones are filled with crystals as well.
That's Scorpio.
Right. It says all of the bad news that we hear are probably agitating us to do what we're supposed to do. So when we hear bad news every single day, we want to come and we want to tell people about it, tweet about it. Did you hear about what happened to so-and-so? And did you hear what happened in this part of the world and that part of the world? He said maybe it's designed to agitate us so we could begin to give the world the medicine that it needs. What do you think about that?
And that medicine that only we have, that we have our own individual medicine and gifts that have been put within us for the purpose of serving and healing our communities. And so we do a disservice when we don't walk in and use and give that medicine, those gifts that we have that only we can give in the way that they've been given to us to give.
So the question I wrote down that he asked, he says, have you used the medicine of the ancestors gave us? So I want to ask you all the question. What gifts have the Creator deposited in you, which will equal the medicine that we have yet begun? So I just put singing ball.
You see me play. I play my ball at my offerings.
Oh, okay.
And I just got my drum to play at my offering.
All right. So what medicine is that? All right. What medicine do you have deposited in you that you have yet to, is it dispense?
Well, yeah, medicine can be dispensed.
Right. What medicine, what gifts that the Creator deposited in you, which will equal your medicine that you have yet to dispense to help heal this sick society, the sick world that we live in, or even the people around you? I don't know why it's not charging. It should be.
I can't see.
All right. Okay. Now, I definitely need you to respond to this. The mindset that created the problem can't be the mindset to offer the solution.
Well, he was talking about that and saying also those weren't his words, but that was what he wanted to convey with the message that he was trying to share, that yes, we have to not, of course, use the same things that have gotten us into the situations that we're in. We can't use that same thinking to get us out of the situations we're in. We have to go deeper than that and access our medicine, access our gifts, and then call on the ancestors daily. Not just, he talked about that a lot, not being stuck in one specific type of ritual that we have to do to call on the ancestors, and then we only do it for show, or because we're gonna pour libations now because that's what we're supposed to do, but that we have to call on the ancestors 24 hours a day, make it a daily practice as we move throughout our day, calling on them consistently and then authentically, not making it just a for show, basically, or for one ritual purpose because we've all gathered together and now we're going to call on them. So that was one of the things that stood out to me when he was talking about that. And that's like it's the same, that concept of cultivating any relationship. You have to be in constant communication, constant contact in order to cultivate a relationship, and it's the same with our ancestors.
Right.
So,
he said often that we need to live our gift, live your gift.
yeah.
What is your assignment? We have to be able to know and understand in our assignment. He talked about what is the nature of the gifts that we have. What is the nature of the gift that you have? I think one part that I failed to write down, but I heard him saying it, is the whole idea of us not knowing ourselves and thus not knowing the gift. So who do you contact to know what your gift is? You understand what I'm saying? It's hard to ask yourself. So do you call on the ancestors to deliver that information to you? Like, what is your gift? Or are you put in situations where you have to solve a situation, but you can only solve it from pulling from within instead of looking outside of the self? He says we need an intense conversation with the ancestors on a daily and consistent basis. And then he said, right shortly after that, he says, we spew discontent. You understand what I'm saying? And almost that's like a contradiction. We want the world to change, but yet we fail to be the vehicle to bring about the change. All right. Let me see. Are the solutions that we presently have adequate enough to solve the problems that we have? Are the solutions that we have, even if we collectively got together, are the solutions that we have adequate enough? Because the way it seems like these people that are running this world operate, they operate as though they're 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of us. So if we do come up with a solution, is the solution adequate enough? I remember one time I heard Minister Farrakhan say, even if Jesus came back, along with Abraham, Moses, and a few other prophets, would it be enough to deal with America, along with France, Britain, and a few other people, countries rather? Or would it be strong enough? Then he talked about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements. Why is it doing that when it's supposed to be charged? All right.
You want to try a different charger?
It's an Android.
That's
So
the problem.
Yeah, that's probably the problem, because it's an Android phone.
So
All right, if we get cut off, we
work.
probably got to finish this at another time, because it says my battery is low, and that looks really bad. Let's see. Nope. I know it ain't the charger. Hold on. Low.
Somebody wrote something too that